He's a terrible Fed chair. I was surprised he was appointed. I was surprised, frankly, that Biden put him in and extended him. But as president, there are a few decisions more important than nominating leaders of integrity and good judgment to hold trusted positions in public office. And few of those trusted positions are more important than the chairman of the Federal Reserve. Accordingly, it is my pleasure and my honor to announce my nomination of Jerome Powell to be the next chairman of the Federal Reserve. Congratulations, Jay.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Do you have plans, or if you're back considering firing Jerome Powell, and what's your justification if you're thinking about this to do this?
Too late. He's always been too late, hence his nickname, Too Late. He should have cut interest rates a long time ago. Europe has cut them 10 times in the short period of time, and we cut them none. The only time he cut them was just before the election to try and help Kamala or Biden, whoever the hell it was, because nobody really knew. Obviously, that didn't work, but he tried to cut him for the Democrats, Kamala. And how did that work out? You'll tell me. It didn't work out too well, did it? But he's I think he does a terrible job. He's costing us a lot of money. And we fight through it. It's almost, the country's become so successful that it doesn't have a big impact. But it does hurt people wanting to get a mortgage. People want to buy a house. He's a terrible Fed chair. I was surprised he was appointed. I was surprised, frankly, that Biden put him in and extended him. But they did. So, we're not planning on doing anything. We're very concerned. He's doing a little renovation for $2.5 billion of the Fed. Building a renovation, and they have a close to $900 million cost overrun.
Trump knows that,
and it's a shame, but the biggest cost overrun is the cost overrun for interest rates, because we should be paying 3 points lower, and we would save $1 trillion a year in interest if that were the case, and all it is the stroke of a pen. And that goes for his board, too, because his board is not doing the job, because they should try and rein this guy in. So he's doing a lousy job, but no, I'm not talking about that. Fortunately, we get to make a change in the next, 8 months or so.
And Trump is trying to shatter that shield.
Pick somebody that's good, and we'll pick somebody. I just want a fair job. We want to see lower interest rates. Our country deserves it. We're making a lot of money. We're doing great as a country. We have no inflation. Record stock market, record business, record everything. Everything's a record now. We had the worst inflation in history under Biden, and now we have almost no inflation. We've done a great job, and we should have the interest rates cut.
He did it with January 6th. He did it with Ukraine. Now he's doing it with Powell. And the scariest part, millions will believe him. Not because it's true, but because it's convenient. But we're not here for convenience. We're here for clarity. Now let's talk strategy. Trump isn't just playing dumb. He's playing chess. Because in Trump's political doctrine, the truth is always negotiable if the lie gets you more power. He needs a target. He always does. It's the cornerstone of his narrative machine. Identify a villain, demonize them, then pose as the only one strong enough to fight them. In 2016, it was Hillary. In 2020, it was the media, Fauci, and mail-in ballots. In 2025, it's Jerome Powell. Why Powell? Because Powell refuses to play along. He refuses to slash interest rates just to boost short-term growth and make the economy look like it's booming before an election. Powell knows what's at stake. He's been around long enough to understand that cutting rates too soon would pour gasoline on inflation, savings, devalue the dollar, and hammer working-class Americans the hardest. Trump doesn't care. Trump wants optics. Trump wants the sugar high. He wants the headlines. Market surges under Trump. Never mind what happens 6 months later. And here's the real kicker. Powell is actually saving Trump's ass right now. By keeping the Fed independent and prioritizing stability, Powell is preserving the credibility of the U.S. financial system. Without that, Wall Street collapses. Treasuries tank. The global economy spirals. But Trump would burn that all down for one more poll bump. That's not leadership. That's desperation. Let's be clear. Powell is not perfect. He's made mistakes. He was slow to react to early inflation signals in 2021. He misread the post-COVID rebound. But right now, his stance is rooted in discipline, in principle, in something Trump has never understood: delayed gratification. Sacrifice now, stability later. And that's why Trump hates him. Because Powell reminds the world that not everything can be manipulated, bought, or shouted into submission. Now think about the message Trump is sending to future Fed chairs, to regulators, to public servants across the country. If you don't obey me, I'll smear you. I'll deny I ever hired you. I'll make you the villain and watch my base tear you apart. That's authoritarianism, plain and simple. And it's working. Trump's lie about not appointing Powell isn't just a gaffe. It's a test of how far he can push the boundaries of reality, a test of how many Americans are paying attention, a test of whether truth still matters in American democracy. And guess what? Let's talk about silence, the kind of silence that rots institutions from the inside out. Because after Trump publicly denied appointing Powell, a blatant, verifiable lie, most of the mainstream media shrugged. Some outlets mentioned it. None led with it. No outrage, no front-page corrections, just another lie tossed on the heap. And that's the problem. We've normalized dishonesty. We've domesticated deceit. When a former president rewrites public history and no one screams, the system isn't just broken, it's complicit. Where were the headlines saying Trump lies about Fed pick? Where were the analysts replaying the 2017 press conference? Where were the accountability watchdogs hammering this in primetime? Gone. Because most of them are too busy treating lies as strategy instead of what they are: cancer. But while the media yawns, the markets listen. Wall Street heard Trump's jab at Powell, and you know what happened? Treasury yields ticked up. Investors started whispering about the return of politicized monetary policy. The fear? That Trump, if reelected, would try to fire Powell or force the Fed into submission. That's not an irrational fear. He already tried once in 2019. He floated replacing Powell with pro-Trump loyalists. He questioned the legality of Powell's independence. That wasn't a thought experiment. That was a blueprint. And if that blueprint is resurrected, the consequences could be catastrophic. Let's walk through it. If Trump regains power and launches an assault on the Federal Reserve's independence, firing Powell, installing a yes man, strong-arming rate cuts, global markets would react instantly. Foreign investors would dump U.S. assets. The dollar would fall. Inflation expectations would spike. The creditworthiness of the U.S. could be downgraded. It's not fiction. It's been modeled. It's real. And let's not forget, the Fed isn't just a monetary engine. It's a signal, a symbol, a message to the world that the U.S. is still governed by laws, not tantrums. Undermining that institution doesn't just hurt Americans, it destabilizes the global economy. So what's Trump really saying when he denies appointing Powell? He's saying, facts don't matter. Institutions are tools, and I'll break whatever I have to if it gets me what I want. He's not running for president. He's campaigning for control. And Powell? He's not a radical. He's a bureaucrat, a banker, a man trying to do a nearly impossible job without bending to whichever party is in power. That used to be respected. Now it gets you targeted. Here's the moment we're in. A former president is attacking a sitting Fed chair with lies. The media is playing dead, and the markets are starting to sweat. This is not about left or right. This is about the integrity of the system. So what happens next? Powell's not going to clap back. That's not his style. He's a central banker, not a street fighter. He'll stay quiet, composed, unshaken, and that's exactly the right move. Because the Fed's power isn't in its volume, it's in its credibility. And credibility isn't defended with press releases or Twitter rants. It's defended by holding the line when it matters most. But make no mistake, Powell is in a minefield. If Trump continues to rise in the polls, the pressure on the Fed will intensify. Investors will start pricing in political interference. Global banks will reevaluate their dollar exposure. And Powell will be tested, not just on policy, but on principle. He'll have to choose whether to bend under the weight of political warfare, or stand firm and risk becoming a national punching bag. And what about us? What about the people watching this unfold? We cannot be spectators. Because this fight, Trump versus Powell, isn't just about two men. It's about two systems, one based on truth, accountability, and constitutional independence, the other based on denial, power hoarding, and historical amnesia. If Trump can erase his own decisions, if he can look straight into a camera and deny what's on video, what's in the archives, what's carved into the timeline, and get away with it, then the game is over. Reality becomes optional, and democracy becomes a costume. That's why we made this episode, not just to fact-check a lie, but to draw the line in ink. Because the lie isn't harmless, it's corrosive, it sets precedent, it sends a signal to every future leader. You can lie about the past, you can bury truth, you can gaslight a nation. No, not here. At Global Shift, we don't bend the timeline, we protect it. We don't just tell you what happened, we show you who's trying to rewrite it. And we do it so that one day, when someone asks, where were the people when facts started dying, we can say, right here, we didn't flinch. So to Trump, you did appoint Powell. Own it. To Powell, hold the line. Don't blink. To the viewers, stay awake. Because the second we stop defending reality, someone else will replace it. This was Global Shift. I'm out.